Welcome everyone to the next episode of the Purposely podcast. We've got two back to back today, and I'm so excited to introduce to you Claire Chancellor, who is a medium and she's also an empowerment coach. And I know a lot of people are excited about this one because the term medium in this day and age doesn't have the same connotations as maybe it did, a while back. So welcome, Claire.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Emily, it's an honour to be on your podcast.
Amazing. I'm so excited to hear your story. And so the way I like to start off these conversations is to ask people, so if you were at a barbecue or a dinner party, if you were allowed to go to one of those things right now, because we're both in Melbourne, what would you say if someone says, "Oh, hi, Claire, nice to meet you. What do you do?"
Yeah, I've been pondering that question and having a bit of self-analysis on that one. And I actually realised I tell people I'm a hypnotherapist, and then I will check in with the energy of the response back. If they're kind and curious and want to know more, then I will go into that more. And if they kind of, give me a bit of a skeptic look, I will immediately turn the conversation back to them because I'm really gifted at talking about other people. And so it's just it's a measuring of what the other person wants.
Yeah, and what people are open to, because I think that the term medium is probably a little bit misunderstood. And if you, if you'd believe what you see on TV and in Hollywood, like people think mediums speak to dead people.
Well, by definition, that's exactly what mediums do. But the reason that I go to hypnotherapy is because when you do go into a trance, like being at a red light and losing complete track of time, that's going into a level of trance. And so is mediumship. You actually have to go into a theta brainwave to be able to tap in to a consciousness that can communicate back in with you. So, yeah, does that make sense?
It does. It does. I'm fascinated, and we'll go back to that later. But before we learn more about what you do and how you help people, I would love to hear the story of Claire Chancellor and how you realised that you were a medium, and take us back to when you were a child and what it was like to be somebody who is tapped in and tuned in to this thing called mediumship.
Yeah, well, I've always been a psychic medium. I've always been able to tell Mum, at the age of 2 that Nana's going to ring, and sure enough, the phone rings and there's Nana. I've always been able to see spirit and have invisible friends, and that was fine until I learned that other people couldn't do it, and that actually set me into a bit of a curiosity and also a panic to understand why I could do it and nobody else around me could. And so it was in that moment, I would have been really young when I made that powerful decision to dedicate myself to understand why it is that I do what I do, how is it beneficial, and how I can use that gift to serve other people. Because if you're seeing spirit, if you're feeling the bed being shaken, or there's interesting characters standing outside your window, it can be terrifying when you're little. And so often there's little people that they have an element of fear with the fact that there's somebody standing there not realising it might be Nana in the spirit world, just checking in, just doing lullabies. And I guess the other thing to notice is that with children, they will also, as babies, they'll goo and gar and focus on empty walls and things like that. And so, yeah, they're definitely being entertained by, by loved ones in the spirit world.
Amazing. It must have been quite full on to realise that not everybody can see and hear these things. So as a medium, how do these spirits come to you though? Like, can you actually see them, or is it more you can feel them or hear them? Like, I'm fascinated.
Yeah, well, for a really long time, I could see them outside of me, like I'm looking at you. And I had set the intention, I think about 10 or so more years ago, that I wanted to be recognised as a medium by one of Australia's best leading mediums, and also to be put on stage as a medium. When I set the intention to do that, it's almost like my tribe came in, my questions got answered. And so there were often times where I would actually see somebody coming to the front door, and I would get up and open the front door thinking it was a salesperson or something, and my kids are rolling their eyes going, oh, Mum's lost it again, and realising at that moment that there wasn't actually anybody there. So but then I guess to finish that sentence was to say, but then going to class or circle the next day and finding out that description of that person was somebody's husband. And it was like, oh, he's around, he's around in his goofy shorts and still pulling his socks up to his knees. What a goofball, but isn't he lovely?
Yeah.
So I guess sometimes now I ask them to be more within the third eye, so that there's an inner knowing before they just startle me with their physical presence.
Yeah, that sounds like a nice request for you to make.
Boundaries.
Yes, because I can imagine it would get quite noisy sometimes. But you touched on something before, so you've actually done some training and work with other people to tap into this gift that you have.
Yeah. I've sat in circle, which means that there's literally a group of other mediums that sit in a circle, and we practice our mediumship with one another, learn what is good practice and what is not so good practice. So I can give you a shocker of a story, Emily. When I first started, and I would see somebody and I'd go, oh, I'm hearing splat. I'm hearing that somebody committed suicide, and thinking, oh, this is amazing. The energy's surging. It's wonderful. And then realizing, wait a minute, you can't say that. And so learning structure around the mediumship, asking somebody's permission, understanding that you're bringing up people's grief and things like that, and really because you got to remember, I was 18 when I was doing that. There was no filter. But so the whole class was so important.
Yeah, to learn how to channel your gift and use it appropriately.
Yeah. I don't want to give the audience a false perception of what the beautiful gift of mediumship is, but they're still learning. Like there's not a well-written book on this stuff, on how to do it properly.
Yeah. So we actually met at an NLP course. How many years ago would it have been now?
4 or 5.
4 or 5 years ago. Yep. So we did. Was it Master Prac together? Yeah,
it would have been August 2017. I'm hearing.
There we go. I'm glad that you can remember, or you've got someone that's telling you when it was. And we instantly, or this is how I felt, we instantly had a connection, and it was, I just really gravitated towards you. You've got this really beautiful, kind energy, and you actually told me some stuff about my grandfather that just absolutely blew me away, and I've never ever forgotten it. And it was quite amazing. And I've seen mediums before, and I totally believe in this stuff because I've had a few bizarre experiences myself. So I think that I'm quite open to it. But do you think that certain people are more open to this stuff than others, and why do you think that is?
It can be really, really confronting, this stuff. It can really challenge some people's ideas. I was on a mediumship group and somebody asking about reincarnation and not understanding about how it's a bit tricky to explain, but there's some really confronting ideas about mediumship and crossing over and past lives and all of that higher level stuff. So I do come across a lot of skeptics, but I learned along the way that my skills don't need to be tested. And so if somebody's going to test, and as like that devalues the integrity of my work, that I don't actually need to be tested, and I will let those people go and ask that the people who will benefit from this gift to come into my energy field. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. So another question I've just thought of is, do you think this is passed down from generation to generation? Like, is there somebody else in your family with this gift that you know about?
Yeah, all 4 of my daughters have a different type of gift within this field.
Wow.
I know my auntie is very talented in this area. Yeah, it is absolutely handed down, but some people choose at a young age to turn it off, to be spiritually asleep is what we would call it. And so if you are a visual person, this is where an NLP comes into it. If you're a visual person and you see the world and you represent the external world by pictures, you will tend to see spirit. Whereas if you are an auditory person, your way of communicating is to focus on what people are hearing, then like my daughter, Madison really will hear spirit around her. She won't so much see them, she'll hear them and feel them around. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. It's so interesting because when I was a child, I'm a very visual person. I used to feel like there was this man in my room, like all the time, and he would be standing over my bed, and I can see his face. He kind of had a beard and he had reddish hair, and it wasn't like he was going to hurt me or anything, but I literally was petrified because I thought that there was somebody in my room. And only when I told my brother about what I saw, he stopped coming.
Oh, I wonder why that is.
I don't know. It was really bizarre. But anyway,
Well, I'm linking in. I'm like, oh, why is that? I always love this stuff.
Yeah. So why is that? Do you think? Why did he stop coming once I told someone about it?
There might have been a part of you that actually saw an aspect of fear or confusion in your brother and realized, oh, like this isn't okay, and would have at that moment made the decision that it wasn't okay for him to be there either.
Oh, there we go. So bizarre. But so we've just gone a little bit off track. So fast forward to now. Now you've done a lot of work around honing your skills as a medium, and you're also NLP trained. How do you meld those two gifts together and help people? I mean, I know how you help people because you help me all the time, and we've been doing work for the last 5 years, and you've helped me enormously in so many different ways, but I'd love to hear about your take on it.
Yeah. Well, originally when I learned about mediumship, not that I ever did this, but there's some mediums who will look into people, and this is actually more psychic work. But if you look into somebody's energy and say, actually, no, I don't see any children coming, and, this is a woman who really wants to be a mum, and you say, no, I don't see you having children, that's too limiting for me, and it was too limiting for this amazing gift. So then I learnt holistic counselling, NLP, hypnotherapy, to be able to tap into that higher power to say, actually, I can manifest, I can draw in those children. They're definitely there to incarnate. That's a fancy word of saying to be born, to come here on earth. It was just a moment in time when I decided that I don't, like, it's a really extreme example, but like to be able to say, as a child, I don't want to have another dad in my home ever again, and make that decision. And then fast forward 20 years and realizing that to conceive a baby means that there's another dad coming into the home. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
And so your body will naturally go into high-level cortisol and all of those things to reject that little one from conceiving. And so within NLP, hypnotherapy, holistic counselling, you can go in and reverse that decision. I've done this countless times, and I've been an egg donor as well, so I understand that whole ride of fertility. And then I've said to, I've been able to predict and say to somebody, don't spend any more money on IVF. Wait till September. You do actually need that medical help, but wait till September. That's when he's going to come in. And telling a woman in January to wait till September for their little one is just not okay.
Yeah.
But they did. He did come in, and I think I've probably gone way off topic, but that's how I combine the mediumship. I actually combine this. I so much more focused now on the psychic, the manifesting, the power, the empowerment side of these gifts rather than just the reading of them. Does that make sense? I keep asking, does that make sense? Because sometimes my analogies make sense to me, but not others.
No, it makes perfect sense. And knowing what I know about brain science and NLP is, if you believe something or you create a belief, whether you understand what it means or not, that has massive implications on so many things in your life, the strategies that you use, the language that you use, the patterns of behavior, and going back and unlocking all of that can create new pathways and new ways of thinking that allow things to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's where I put my focus on these days, is to help people. And even the psychic skills, that I've got clients that are wanting to buy a house at the moment, or doing those sorts of things. And Claire, what if I buy the house down Murphy's Lane versus Eva Court? What's the energy like? And my team, I call my spirit guides my team, they will be able to say, if you move into that house, you're going to have the neighbours from hell. Or if you buy that house, you're going to really feel uplifted because of this dynamic and that dynamic. So the skills get used in a really different and variety of ways.
Yeah, and I love that. It's about being versatile and flexible to go with whatever needs to happen. And I love the way that you speak to people in the language that they need to hear it. And some people are very comfortable talking in the kind of spiritual sense, and other people, I would imagine, are not. They need things a little bit more logical.
Yeah, a bit more human.
So yeah. I'm going to ask you a personal question about me at the moment, because we've done some work together. So this will be really interesting to show people kind of, if you're comfortable, what you do and how you do it. Do you remember I spoke to you and got advice around some decisions I was making around my house?
Oh, yeah, the renovation?
Yeah. So essentially, we have gone through this whole process. We were about to knock down our house before COVID happened, and build 2 townhouses. And deep down inside, something has been telling me that I shouldn't be doing that. And it's like COVID, like I was really disappointed that COVID happened and it kind of quashed my dream. But now I'm glad, because for the first time, my husband, Tim, actually feels excited about what we're going to do, and we've changed our mind. And so now we're going to stay in our house, and we're actually going to renovate it and put an add-on and put my office as a studio above my garage. And I can just feel this energetic shift that's telling me that this is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So I remember when we were talking about it, you were like, this is going to take a really long time, and I could hear you laughing. So did you kind of know that was going to happen?
So what happens is, when a psychic is reading somebody's energy that they're currently projecting, that is the current timeline that person is on. And the minute that so I could say, well, yeah, you're going to knock down the house. There could be a voice within you that says that's not going to happen. And just because you've heard it from me doesn't mean that I was wrong. It was a timeline that you were projecting, because we were playing with that idea of going down that timeline. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
So then the minute that you made the decision to go into this kind of work instead of what you were doing, and then the type of work Tim was doing, and so on and so forth, it opened up new bubbles of reality for you to go down. Whereas when I was reading your energy, those doors were locked, hard shut. I always saw you working upstairs. I didn't know what that meant, but I always saw you higher than the higher than the family when you were working. So it just makes perfect sense that you would bring your work to your little nest. Not little, but yeah, your nest.
Yeah, there we go. So it feels like, I mean, I believe that everything happens for a reason. And there was just so many messages or so many signs that knocking down our house and building those two townhouses was not the right thing to do. And
At that time, yeah.
yeah, my husband and I were talking about it last night, and he was like, I'm so glad that we didn't do that because it just didn't feel right. And he's not into any of this shit at all, by the way. But he's like, I actually feel so excited about what we're doing now. And he's redoing the garden, and he's like, he's so into it. Whereas the other thing that we are going to do, it was me going, we should do
pushing.
this thing. Yeah. So it's just really funny.
Back then you were looking for a different kind of financial security. Oh,
there you are. You're back.
I was going to say back then you were looking for a different kind of financial security, and that was the answer that they were showing you was going to give you that.
Yep. So there we go. Anyway, interesting. Just thought I'd throw that one in there. So
yeah.
You do a lot of work with women around empowerment, and it's a real passion of yours. So tell us about your empowerment program, because I know that you've developed something a bit new, and I'd love to hear about what it's all about.
Yeah, I'm really, really passionate about this because I get to work with some of the most amazing, amazing women who are in that place where they're feeling stuck. They don't really know what to work on, and yet they're not really feeling into their passion, their purpose, and they've given so much to so many others that they're just stuck. And what I like to do with women is to be able to engage, get a little bit, I always consider it an honor to be able to be part of people's vulnerabilities and to listen and really understand where they're coming from. And we do some amazing, very, very powerful energy work and understanding their beliefs and reading into their future about what their possibilities are, and again, understanding what their blocks are. And then we get a bit playful with the energy and start manifesting and creating those life-changing results. And it blows me away. It happens really, really fast. I've had clients where they've been basically living at mum's to then 6 months later getting a 6-figure job offer. I've had clients where they've gone from domestic violence to their own freedom, their own home, their own new job, and just really passionate and feeling fulfilled in life. So that particular program, I tailor make it to what people's needs are. But essentially, we speak for about an hour and a half fortnightly for about 4 months, and I like to be really thorough. I like to get the most out of our time and really see the results really quickly. So it's, yeah. Can you tell? I'm so more. It's a passion of mine.
I can. I love it. So I'm going to ask you another question now. What's kind of your most favorite story of somebody that you've helped and worked with, where you just had the most amazing kind of thing happen, like something really crazy?
Well, it would have been roughly January. I had a woman who had been completely alienated from her children, and as a mum, it made me feel sick to think that was happening. The court system had said we can't get a time till September, and again, I don't know what's with September this interview, but anyway. Courts couldn't get her a time till September. I checked in with the team and I said, surely we can change this. And I said to that client, the team is saying that we can bring that date forward to March. And, she rolled her eyes and said, yeah, give it your best shot. I was like, well, what have we got to lose? Yeah. So we did some belief work on fear of being judged, fear of being persecuted, all of these different fears that were, again, holding her stuck, holding her in place. And it was absolutely phenomenal because the next morning I got a message from her with a few swear words that said, the courts have contacted me. We've got a date in March. And it was just tingles. And it was just like, oh, wow. So it's either that or usually babies and pregnant women, the fertility, the joy in that. So, yeah, that's my wow story.
I love it. How cool. So that's awesome. So I'm just going to pivot to another topic because that's just what I do, and you know me, so you'll be able to.
Yeah, we both leapfrog. We both leapfrog.
We do. So you have been an egg donor yourself. So what led you to embark on that? Because that's not I know somebody who's just gone through the egg harvesting process to freeze their eggs, and it's really full on. So what made you want to do that?
I miscarried on the 22nd of January, and I thought, there's a way to pay this. I know that pain, and I know that I can pay that forward. There was a past lifey connection stuff, but I just felt so determined to give back because at that time I already had 2 daughters.
Yep.
Yeah, I've had 2 miscarriages. So I miscarried on the 22nd of January, selected a couple from Monash IVF. They did the egg retrieval on the 22nd of January. Fast forward again.
Was that
by chance?
Whoa.
No, it gets better because then it took a while for that implantation to work. He was born on the 22nd of Jan, and then a year later, my twins were born on the 22nd of Jan.
So my hairs are standing on end. That is so cool. So what's with the 22nd?
Yeah.
What is it about that date? Like, is it just something? It's just your date, or what is it?
Yeah, you just hold your breath on that date.
Yeah.
So it was a powerful moment. I've actually donated my eggs to 2 infertile couples. It was a powerful story, a part chapter.
Amazing. Such a beautiful gift to give somebody is your egg. So how many daughters do you have? Like, now I'm just trying to think about it. So
I've got 4 daughters, and then there's there's three other little people that share my DNA.
Wow. And do you have any contact with them, or you see them, or?
No, that'll be their choice later in life if they want to find me. I wasn't actually connected to that relationship. It was just, I don't know, it was just a gift to the universe to say, yeah, I experienced that. And so I don't know. Mum wasn't too happy about it, but it was my decision.
Amazing. What an amazing story. So I'm going to ask you now a little bit about manifesting, because I think that it's kind of a term that's bandied around a lot now. It's like, I'm just going to manifest.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Everyone's manifesting, and it's like, my dad has a saying, you can piss in one hand and wish in the other and see which one.
I love your dad.
So I kind of feel like manifesting is a bit of that, but what is real manifesting? Like, how can someone literally manifest the life that they want? What do they have to do?
Well, by definition, manifesting is to show the evidence to somebody. So if you know what you want, and sometimes that's the hardest part for people to actually know what they want, they will give you a list of what they don't want. And so there's obviously a gap between where they are and what it is that they want. Sometimes it's as simple as a belief that they got when they were a child to say that to earn the rewards, you need to be a hard worker. Yeah. And that's got a lot of integrity behind it, but that can also be very, very fatiguing and stressful, and why can't I work hard enough and all of that stress. And so what I would do with somebody then is to say, let's let's have a look at those beliefs about proving yourself to your dad or whoever it was who suggested, you've got to work hard, and really questioning the evidence of that belief. And what happens is usually when you go in, you clear that belief, suddenly the opportunities for other stuff to come in, because you've always got this filter on to say, well, that doesn't meet the criteria. I have to work hard to get my money. And can you relate to some of that stance with you manifesting? Yeah.
Yes, I definitely think you know me very well.
And so sometimes even, because I was wondering about what I would impart that knowledge to any future millennials who are going into business, is to recognize within them about the triggers or the stress that comes to them from the outside world. What's it triggering within you? Because you are a powerful manifestor. You can choose to let those beliefs go that are causing you that stress. Because if you're finding yourself stressed, you are switching off your concentration, you're switching off your ability to make sound quality decisions. You will attract that red light that really builds that frustration, and you will attract that argument with your boss when you get to work, until it gets so loud that you're going to have to make some changes. And that's what I do, is I help people recognize what those doubts, those uncertainties, the fears, the anger, the judgment is, to create the job that they want, to create the business that they want, to create the family life that they want. And it works. It works really fast when you know what you're doing.
Excuse me, I'm coughing. I think that's awesome, and I think it's really important for people to.
What is something that you think your audience would want to manifest right now?
What is something I would like to manifest? You
or your audience?
I'm sorry, I've just got a tickle in my throat. Don't know what that means, but I think that people at the moment, what they're trying to manifest is positive, happy thoughts and living in a state of connectedness and bliss, because I think a lot of people are feeling very angry and very scared and very worried at the moment because of everything that's going on, and watching the news, and there's so much uncertainty. And you keep talking about September, which is really interesting, because what I know is that in September, from a business perspective, that's when JobKeeper is going to end for a lot of businesses. And that's when I think that something's going to happen, like the economy is going to either do a nosedive or maybe it's going to go back up. And so I feel like September is something's going to, my waters are telling me that something is going to happen in September. And I hope it's something good. And I feel like, one of the things that I'm talking to a lot of young people at the moment, and there feels like this, there's this push for some kind of great awakening, and that this is all happening for a reason, to show humanity what's really important, and that, we've got to focus on being kind and being healthy and building our own immune systems and taking responsibility and all this shit. Everyone I speak to talks about that. So I don't know what I've just said, but I've talked a lot. So from all of that shit I've just said, Claire, what are you hearing?
What I'm hearing is that there's that, as you said, they want to be feeling positive, they want to be feeling good. And I would be questioning them to say, well, I don't know, it sounds like a backwards question, but what's the problem with feeling good? What's the problem with positivity? What's the worst thing about security and positivity? And that should automatically start triggering off some of those unconscious beliefs that say, well, it's out of my hands. Or, the outside authorities are telling me that I'm not secure. And again, I would be questioning to say, when you were little or wherever else it comes from, when did you decide that these outside authorities, i.e. your parents, had the higher power to be telling you what to do, so on and so forth? If you can tap into those resources within you, that says I've got that strength, that says, you know what, what's that thing I can do to generate a bit of cash flow right now, and to be able to listen again to that intuition of yours that says, well, I would be asking somebody about, if it was cash flow, I'd be saying to them, okay, what's that one idea that you could do that you haven't done? Why haven't you done it? And then that's the fear again. That's the stuff that we have to go in and clear, because once that's gone, there's plenty of people right now that's earning a lot of money. There's plenty of people out there that feel secure and safe in what they're doing. And what is it that they're doing that you're not doing? Because there's a virus out there. Viruses are about worthiness. Viruses tend to come into the immune system when you're generating a lot of fear, a lot of adrenal fatigue and weakness. And so, again, I would be checking in with that person about what their fears are, where did that come from, and be working to identify the evidence and challenge those beliefs if they're actually real.
Interesting, because the whole concept is that we create our own reality, right? So whatever reality we're walking through on a daily basis, we have the power to create it or uncreate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the other thing. That's a really good point, Emily, because it's also the law of attraction also works with the law of unattraction. If you've got the belief system that says that you can't have that security, that you don't deserve to be at peace, or you're not willing, like all of that, you will continue to attract that. Some people who have the belief that say, I need money, I need money, I need money. The universe says, great, I hear you. Let's give you more, I need money, I need money, I need money. And the bills will come in and the overwhelm of the finances will come in, because that's what you're putting out there.
Yeah. The law of attraction. It's, that movie, The Secret, I think opened up people's minds to this possibility that we are so connected as humans. And I was speaking to Sebastian about this today. I don't know how we were talking about it, about that there's only one race, the human race, and that we're all connected. And at the moment, it feels like the powers that be, or the forces that are external to us, are trying to make us be disconnected. And I guess, what would you say about that?
I would be, again, recognizing that the powers that be I think from what you're describing there, are government and media, and that we actually have the choice to switch off from that. And the power comes back into you again. As you said, if you're going to be kind, and like your beautiful son said, kind and compassionate and helping one another, then the authorities have to follow suit on what the mass are actually doing, what the message is.
Interesting. I could talk to you all day. There's just so many rabbit holes that we could go down. Yeah. But Claire, I would like to thank you so much for generously giving us your time and your wisdom. And I'm sure that a lot of people out there will be really interested in looking you up and perhaps getting some support from you after this conversation. Yeah. So if people want to find you, how can they do that?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram under Claire Chancellor, and there's the Facebook page, and there's also the website under clairechancellor.com.au. It's very pink. It's very me. So you'll find me there.
Amazing. We will share all of Claire's handles at the bottom of this episode. But thank you so much, Claire. It's been fascinating, and we might have to get you to come back and talk after September.
Yeah, September.
Yeah, and see what the fuck is going on.
In September, I was thinking we'll have to, I'll just be a bit cheeky, we'll have to get the good old tarot cards out. And that's actually a really good card. Yes. Do a reading in September.
I think we do. I think I'm going to hold you to that. But thank you so much, Claire. And I hope you have a wonderful day. And thanks for everyone for listening. And look Claire up. She's amazing.
No, thanks. Lots of love to you, Emily, and the whole team. I really appreciate chatting with you guys today.
Thank you so much.
Bye.